Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to settle this free speech question, because you've said that you restored free speech in America.
Yeah.
Is that free speech including for people who are harshly critical of you, for your political opponents, for people who say things you don't like?
I've become immune to
treat
it.
you unfairly?
I've become immune to it. There's never been a person that's had more unfair publicity than me, and that's why your network paid me $15 million, or $16 million, I believe, to be exact, George Slopadopoulos. And that's why CBS paid me a lot of money, too. And that's why I sued the New York Times 2 days ago for a lot of money. Because I'm winning. I mean, I'm winning the cases. And the reason I'm winning is because you're guilty, John. You're guilty. ABC is a terrible network, a very unfair network, and you should be ashamed of yourself. NBC is equally bad. I don't know who's worse. I think they're equally bad. And, you know, for you to stand there and act so innocent and ask me a question like that. But look, you paid a big price because you were dishonest, John. The reason I won that lawsuit was because you were dishonest. You were proven to be dishonest. And so you can't sit back and just say, oh, well, what do you think? You know, like you're some wonderful person. You're not a wonderful person. Frankly, you're a terrible reporter. You know it, and so do I.
The room is buzzing with tension. Cameras flash, microphones hover, and the press corps leans forward with anticipation. Donald Trump steps up, confident as ever, owning the space with his familiar mix of bravado and impatience. The questions start rolling in, each reporter eager to land the headline of the day. A journalist in the second row raises his voice, sharper than the rest. He asks about Trump's recent remarks, pressing him on his plans, dragging in names of cities like New York and Memphis, trying to corner him on specifics. The question is loaded, designed not for clarity but for confrontation. The crowd senses it, everyone knows this reporter's reputation for persistence, and the tension grows. Trump leans slightly forward, his eyes narrowing. He lets him finish, but only barely. Then, in a voice that slices through the chatter, he delivers the blow, "You're really obnoxious." Gasps ripple through the room. The bluntness is startling, even for Trump. The reporter stiffens, clearly taken aback, but he pushes again, refusing to let go. He circles back to his question, but Trump waves it off. He isn't playing along. Instead, he doubles down, dismissing his approach, making it clear that this exchange is over on his terms. The reporter tries a new tactic, repeating herself, her voice growing louder as if sheer insistence will force an answer. But Trump's patience is gone. He calls out his refusal to answer follow-ups, accuses his of avoiding his own accountability. The clash is no longer about facts, it's about dominance, tone, and respect in the room. Silence begins to settle as the weight of the confrontation sinks in. Reporters glance at one another. Some smirk, others whisper. The press room is no stranger to fireworks, but even by Trump standards, the intensity of this takedown feels different. The word obnoxious hangs in the air, raw and cutting, refusing to fade. The journalist doesn't retreat. He clings to his question, but the energy has shifted. Trump no longer feels compelled to respond. He controls the podium, and the cameras keep rolling, capturing every flicker of his expression. His refusal to engage further is its own statement. Not every question deserves an answer. What unfolds is more than a spat, it's a power struggle. Trump positions himself as the authority, unwilling to bend under pressure, unafraid to call out a member of the press in the most direct terms. For his supporters, it's a moment of triumph, the president refusing to be bullied by what they see as hostile media. For critics, it's arrogance, a dangerous dismissal of accountability. The room becomes theater. Every pause, every glance, every frustrated gesture from the reporter feeds into the drama. The cameras don't miss a beat, journalists scribble notes furiously, knowing this exchange will dominate headlines. Whispers run along the back rows, did he just call her obnoxious? The word itself becomes the headline, overshadowing the very question that triggered it. In politics, optics matter more than details, and in that moment, Trump seizes the advantage. The tension is palpable. The journalist, unwilling to concede, tries one last push. Her tone sharpens, almost defiant. But it's too late, the balance of power is gone. Trump's refusal has already drawn the line. The more she insists, the more it feels like desperation. A few chuckles escape from the crowd, breaking the silence, as though some are entertained by the spectacle. Others shake their heads, frustrated by the breakdown of civility. The divide is clear, admiration and outrage existing in the same room, at the same moment. As the press conference rolls on, the clash remains the talk of the day. Questions continue, but the energy is different. The weight of that confrontation lingers, coloring every exchange that follows. Even as other reporters try to shift focus, the memory of the moment clings, unshakable. For Trump, it's another example of his signature style, unfiltered, direct, unapologetic. For the reporter, it's a reminder of the risks that come with pressing too hard in a high-stakes room. And for the audience watching across the nation, it becomes yet another viral snapshot of the unending war between Trump and the media. The story grows beyond the walls of the press room. Clips flood social media, cut and shared with captions that amplify the drama. Supporters celebrate the takedown, critics condemn the insult, and the debate spills into living rooms, news panels, and online forums. Was Trump right to shut her down? Or was he dodging accountability? Regardless of the answer, the impact is undeniable. In a single exchange, a few sharp words reshape the narrative of the day. The policy question, the original purpose of the reporter's persistence, vanishes from memory. In its place, the confrontation itself becomes the headline. This is the battlefield of modern politics, personality eclipsing policy, conflict driving coverage, and one soundbite defining the entire story. And in this battle, Trump once again proves that when the cameras are on, he never plays defense for long. The reporter's hand shakes slightly as she presses her notebook against her chest. She gathers herself, picks up her pen. The lights are hot, the camera glares sharp, every breath amplified. She asks, "Mr. President, what assurances do citizens in Memphis have that the National Guard deployment will be properly overseen, and that civil liberties won't be compromised?" A murmur sweeps the room. A few reporters shift in their seats. Trump's jaw tightens. His eyes scan the room. He's weighing whether to respond or shut down. For a moment, silence. Trump's voice cuts through, "I'm doing what's right. The cities need protection. You're really obnoxious." Shock. An audible gasp. A pen drops. The reporter flinches. Microphones quiver. But he holds her ground. "If I may continue," he says. His voice steady. "How exactly will you ensure that local authorities are consulted? Will there be civilian oversight? Will there be transparency, reports, independent monitoring?" Trump shakes his head, shifts his posture, leaning back as though to create distance. He looks away briefly, then back. "You ask such accusatory things. Accusations without basis." He pauses. "You want transparency. Show me the facts. You're twisting things." In the back row, a veteran journalist murmurs, "That tone," others nod, heads turning. Some write furiously. Others hold up phones, recording every second. The tension is crackling, like static in the air. Reporter's voice, slightly strained now, "These are public questions, sir. People are watching. They want to know if their rights will be protected, not only from crime but from overreach." Trump raises his hand. "I've done more for this country in my first term than most reporters understand. We will protect civil liberties, but you need to stop with the premise that I want to trample on them." His eyes flash. "Respectfully, Mr. President, the premise comes from concern, and concern comes from precedent. Deployment of troops in civilian spaces has weight. People remember." Trump's lips tighten. He glances at aides. He glances at the ceiling. Then, he snaps, "You're dodging. You keep trying to drag me into arguments. I won't do it." The reporter pauses, hand raised. He seems about to push again, but the room feels heavy, expectant. Suddenly, someone whispers. A flurry of camera clicks. The press corps leans forward, as if the next words will tip the balance. Reporter quietly but firmly, is it fair, then, to say that there will be no deployment unless oversight exists and independent review is allowed? Trump stares. For a beat, the room holds its breath. Then he sighs. We will work with local leaders. We will make sure things are done properly. But don't assume the worst. You can almost hear the relief, mixed with disappointment, in that room. Reporters exchange glances, one murmurs, "That's something." Trump steps away from the mic for a moment. The cameras follow. The lights seem less harsh now, though the energy is still electric. The reporter lowers his hand, pen poised. The moment becomes a fissure between what was demanded and what was given. The question, once loud, now thins, the answer, once withheld, now partial. Supporters watching later will praise the firmness. Critics will argue this was damage control. The narrative splits instantly. And somewhere in the room, you sense the story that day won't be about policy or plans, only about that clash. That word, obnoxious. The challenge. The refusal. The assertion of power.